Hey guys, and welcome to Marvel Future Revolution. Today, I want to jump into a discussion about the cash shop in this game. I'm playing Iron Man on my second character, getting him to level 100. I'm testing out some little things about leveling up and seeing where we are and certain things. There's, things going around, people basically saying, hey, level up to Midgardia, don't do any of the side quests until you get to Midgardia. Having played the games, tried to experience it all and completed all the side quests and everything like that with my Doctor Strange character, my initial character, I can tell you it's probably somewhat true, because at this level right here, I'm level 56, just entering a Midgardia, and I can tell you with Doctor Strange, I pretty much reached probably I was only maybe 2 or 3 levels beyond where I am with Iron Man right now. So it might be something that you want to do if you're trying to race through, build up characters. Yeah, go ahead and probably skip through all the content to get up to Midgardia. But here goes the thing that you're going to run into and the problem with the characters. I'm going to skip through some of this story and then just kind of let him talk through. Hopefully it doesn't pull me out too much. The main issue that you're going to run through is access to gear, meaning, your battle badges and things like that that you were getting from previous builds and stuff like that. That were available to you rather from your initial playthrough of your first character. Like, for instance, playing through my first character, there were some challenges and things like that that I completed that allowed me to get gold. There's things that are like that's in the side missions that you're going to be lost out on if you just skip. But that comes into, let's talk about the shop. Okay, so as you play through the game, you complete certain levels, whether you're leveling up your squad rank or you're leveling up your character rank, or whether you are completing certain objectives, and you're going to constantly get these offerings. They seem like they come every offering. So like, for instance, I hit level 55 and it gave me this Avengers special offer for Thanos. I was like, what the hell is this? So I gotta tell you right now, like, this is a draw ticket selection box. It doesn't tell you what's inside there. It just gives you the draw tickets, doesn't tell you what your chances of getting anything. That kind of irks me a little bit. And then you can see it also is giving you a level 50 5-star battle badge. Is it gonna be the battle badge that you want that's red, or is it gonna be, probably not. And if you've played through on your first character, you probably don't need those battle badges, because battle badges carry over from character to character. Same thing like costume cores and stuff like that. So be aware of that. So let's jump into the shop. Where we at with the shop? Okay. So let's jump into the shop and talk about some things. So like I said, I haven't wailed out on the game, but I haven't specifically stopped from spending anything. So the first thing that I actually did was the perks, right? So I've activated all the daily perks that are available to me: the Alpha Future membership, the Omega Future membership, and the Omega Squad rank up, just so that way I can generate and earn, get some crystals and stuff like that, so that way I can spend on things and test things out. I'd say that these things are probably really beneficial, especially having played my first character through. They really helped in terms of like purchasing items and stuff like that. Here goes some things that I would not do having played through the first time. Number one, let's take a look at the draw. You basically have draws in here for costumes, Omega cards, and dimension boxes. 2 of these things are completely worthless for you to draw from. That's your costumes and that's your dimension box. The reason why I say that is your dimension box is going to be these items right here, and the drop rates for all of these draws are exceptionally low. But I'm going to tell you why these are probably the worst of them. These costume cores, they seem to come fairly frequently. And I do mean fairly frequently. Your desire to level up your squad rank with by chance getting some of these, and some of these manuals and some of these enhancers, I can't say that these are necessarily worth it, because there's no content in the game that I actually faced on my first playthrough or currently on my second playthrough which required me to have those enhancers. They seem more like a accelerant than they seem to be anything else. That's just the truth of it. Now, could you get some of these potential reports, the Furious classifiers that help you enhance your squad rank or help your characters enhance potential? Sure, but is it worth the crystals? In all honesty, I'm going to say no, I don't think so. Then let's take a look at the costumes. Costumes, oh my god, I've spent so much crystals on costumes, and I will say that I absolutely find it to be probably one of the most useless endeavors in terms of this game. Why? Typically, as I spent drawing on the costumes, I will have to say that on average, the drop rate was so low. And I think it's mostly due in part to the costumes that they're selling and how they're doing it. So for instance, let's look at the details of the costume. So if you see 5-star costume sets, I'm going to tell you right now, these are not dropping like hotcakes. They're not dropping. You know, you might get a 5-star every 10 pulls, you know, like, and I don't mean draw 10, I mean like draw 10 times and maybe you'll get a costume rate drop or something like that. These are exceptional. You can see the percentages here, 0.0026. Here goes the thing that compounds this and makes it even more difficult to actually drop those costumes inside here, is that the costumes, when you look at a character, even though you see it's a Xandurf gauntlet set and it says Xandurf shoes, and then you go on and you look at this and you're like, well, you know, these could possibly drop out of here. But here goes something that's not being shown to you. The pool that you're pulling from is a lot bigger than the pool that's being shown. Meaning your new Stark City head, your new Stark City suit, your new Stark City gauntlet, and your new Stark City shoes, you want those? No problem. You could possibly get those, but guess what? You have a variation of those uniforms that you could actually pull from. So it's new Stark City times the multiplier of, drum roll, let's take a look at it real quick and show this. This is gonna be bad. Where are we at? I'm lost right now. Maybe it's in my collection. Yep, here we are. So inside my new Stark City, when I look at that uniform, right, there is actually new Stark City 1, new Stark City 2, new Stark City 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I have 7 different rows of new Stark City gear that I could possibly draw on from. You can see this here. And it's really, really weird, right? Because those new Stark Cities, they're not any different. What they are variations in color. Yes. New Stark City has a multitude of variations of color. So while I might be aiming for New Stark City, Xandurf, Midgardia, Sakaar, and Hydra Empire, because those are the premium sets inside the game, that doesn't mean that it stops me from having these basic sets or these more common sets, which are like the Modern, where I also have 6, the Guardians of the Galaxy, where I have 7, the Superior Iron Man, the Fair Itself, the Ultimates, the Mark 1s, the Marvel Nows, the Stealth Armors, and the Savage Shadowlands. So you have all of these suits that are available to you, and they have multitudes of, you know, variations in colors. While that seems like it's a good thing on the outset, and the game will drop plenty of these common sets, these non-regional sets, the problem becomes is that I have that from the pool to pull from as well inside the costume drawer, and so that kind of increases or decreases my chance of pulling the set that I actually want, which is, you know, I want my Midgardia, I want my Xandurf, I want those regional sets. Now, so in my opinion, is it worth it to be pulling on, you know, to be drawing from the regional sets inside the game, or the costumes? I'm gonna say no, not really. I think you'd be behoove you to probably just save up your money for a character that you are really going to be invested in if you're going to pay for those. I can tell this is the way that they intend probably to make the majority of their money, is probably with costumes and costume drawers. They're going to lure you into those drawers and you're going to look at those and you're going to see, oh, yeah, I really want that new Stark City set. But it's not going to probably be worth it. In the long haul, you probably almost be beneficial of, like, if I was to be honest with you, I'm not a really fan of the Marvel Avengers set that's in excuse me, I'm not a real big fan of the Iron Man set that was inside here. I'm not a fan of the Doctor Strange Endgame set either, but I would have to say that, you know what, I would have probably been better off had I purchased this set over purchasing the amount and investing in the amount of crystals that I need to invest in to pull and try to get one of those regional sets. Now the question becomes, is these sets any better than the sets that are in there? Haven't purchased one of these, so I can't really compare this to like the Hydra Empire. From the outlook of it, I would probably have to say that it is better in terms of the character. Why do I say that? So why I'm going to say that it is better than the costume sets that you would get in game, you know, from the regional sets. I'm going to say why, because these uniforms seem to be dedicated to the one specific stat of the character that matters the most, and then leveling up the skills of the character overall outside of that. While you look at like the Hydra Empire and you look at the costume sets, let me go back into that one and show you that. And these are more geared towards the wrong log. These are more geared towards specific playstyles. So like for instance, if you go inside New Stark City, you can see inside here it's attack and critical rate, ultimate skill level. Some of the things that I came to realize over time is that some of these sets have a place within inside how you play and a place within what you're playing. Meaning like if I look at the Hydra Empire set, I'm more familiar with this from playing Doctor Strange, but I'll try to get to that. Or relate it rather, is that at set up to having two sets of that, I'm getting my attack bonus, which is probably the most important stat for for Iron Man, right? I think it's different for Doctor Strange. So like, and I'll show you that in a minute. But the second stat that I'm having on there is a defensive pierce, right? Defensive pierce is really good, especially if you're playing inside PvE, because it's helping you get through the guard of the characters that you're attacking. At least that's what I think it is. I can't say that without sure because they haven't really given us a play log to state that. But knowing that how much of the game has carried over from Marvel Future Fight, I'm going to tell you right now that most likely defensive pierce is related to like Marvel Future Fight's new inclusion of pierce within inside the game, meaning that you could equip pierce onto your characters and it allows you to ignore defenses more inside the game. And I'm gonna think that that's what that is doing. So like the Hydra Empire would be a good set for that. Meanwhile, if I look at these right here, it's giving me my overall major attack stat that's important to me, but then it's leveling up the two skills the two variations in his skill categories, right? As opposed to me looking at, for instance, the Sakaar uniforms and seeing that it's leveling up my critical rate and it's leveling up my Jarvis class skills. So those are going to have different play styles and be more important inside different play arenas. At least that's how I'm looking at it right now. I may be wrong, and if I am, I'll admit that I'm being wrong, but that's the way I'm feeling from the game. So I feel like I do better probably inside of PvE or PvP when I'm doing single challenge modes, because I'm doing a lot more defensive pierce to my characters, especially in one-on-one. Like I'm able to fight up characters more. So, but overall, to be pointed in the shop is that I seriously think looking at the characters when you're inside the shop, if you're going to ask me if I had to go back and do it all over again, would I purchase the Marvel Studios Avengers in-game costume bundle over trying to grind for the region stuff? I'd probably look at you and tell you I'd probably just purchase the Avengers Endgame. And you can call me a whale or whatever, but that $44.99 versus me, you know, paying for anything else, I would probably say this costume bundle probably would have been more lucrative for me, with all of the crystallized convergium particles and how many uniforms I was probably getting trash, and the farming ability that I would have had. I would have started off with having the 4-star costume set and being able to level that up to 5-star and 6-star respectively by holding on to some of those things. That's just my opinion. I would love to see what other YouTubers end up having to say about it. Then we take a look at the other draw, which is the Omega cards. Now, the Omega cards is going to be another huge money sink, and mostly because when I look at the Omega cards, like for instance, I felt stupid doing this. I spent 1,800 crystals trying to purchase, making the purchase for a bunch of the Omega cards to do a 10-time draw, and or at least I forgot that, you know, I was supposed to do that on my Doctor Strange character while he was equipped, because if I draw any cards and they were on Iron Man, any 4-star cards and above that I got were limited to Iron Man. So this is going to be one of those things where I feel like it's going to cause issues inside the game, and it's going to be their cash shop inside the game is really, really weird. You really need to be careful and mindful about what it is that you're getting. I thought the perks were really relevant and that they were probably good. There are items in the games that I think are good. So for instance, like the Superior Iron Man head, this is a set that drops in game. You don't really have to pay the $2,000 to get the Superior Iron Man. If you want to get it quicker, yeah, probably. It's also for crystals. Each character has that. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, all these 399s and stuff like that, they're probably not worth it in terms of buying the monthly core bundles. Probably not worth it in buying. So there's a lot of stuff in here that, just like Marvel Future Fight, from looking at them, they're pretty much just the same exact thing, and I would not say that they are worth purchasing. When you look at Token Shop, which is basically the free-to-play shop is what I'm calling, and is broken down to Friendship, Omega War, and Dimension Duels, you'll notice that there are a number of items inside the shop that make it, I'm not going to say that they're easy for a player to play, or easy for a player to just jump in and be like, I'm going to purchase these things, and these things are going to help me accelerate my character. Especially at the rate in which you're getting things, like for instance Dimension Duels. It's gonna take me forever to get to 6,000 Dimension Duels right here, playing at what I'm playing and not refreshing those. So there's gonna be items in there that will help you, and there's gonna be items that probably aren't gonna really help you a lot. Now, keep in mind, they do add systems inside the game that you can basically enhance costumes, and you can try to create costume boxes for specific areas, so that way you can get those items, but the drop rates on those are exceptionally low. So I think in some regards, the game still, it remains free to play friendly. I think the most across your first playthrough, the character that you invest the most in, meaning I got so many rewards from completing the main story and completing them with completing certain collections and gathering up missions, side missions, and collectibles and stuff like that, that it kind of like felt like I was constantly steamrolling and collecting a lot of stuff through the game's space, whether it was offering me any shop rewards and things like that that were really feasible and were like, yeah, those things are going to help. But overall, I didn't feel like anything that was offered inside these special offers was really something that was needed. There was probably about 2 or 3 of them that popped up that they were really good deals, but they were really expensive. They were like $90 for a deal where you get 5,400 tokens, or crystals rather, and a bunch of stuff that was like, you knew it was going to be top tier, so you were paying for top tier stuff or whatever. But again, the stores are always going to be one of those things. Like, we can sit here all day and complain about it, but in order to produce for the game, a studio development team needs to be paid, and bills need to be paid by the studio. So you're always going to have free to play versus play to play, and what we're concerned with most inside the games is how big of the gap between free to play and pay to play is. In this game, I feel like the gap is probably going to be pretty large in terms of that. If you have players that are paying for a lot, yeah, man, it's just going to be rough. It will be rough to try to keep up with those players. But if you're a free-to-play player, you shouldn't be trying to keep up with them in the first place. That's just the fact of the matter. I wouldn't be sitting here trying to keep up with a free-to-play player. No, I mean a play-to-play player if I know I'm not free-to-play. So keep that in mind. Other than that, I would say the shop offers a fair bit of stuff for that of intrigue and interest. I can't see doing but so many draws on things like these. Perhaps they'll come with certain deals and increased rate chances like they did in Marvel Future Fight for certain things. But it's kind of hard to, to say that that's what's going to happen without knowing how far into it they go. I think the thing that pisses me off the most is the card set system from the shop. I don't really like the idea or the notion that we purchase cards and they're limited to that character, specifically because I can't do anything with those if I try to switch them over, and I'm rolling and I'm paying a premium. So you would say, like, if I had 2-3 of my favorite Marvel characters, let's say this gets to 230 something characters like they have in Marvel Future Fight or Strike Force or Contest of Champions. Well, now that means that any character that I'm specifically dedicated to, I like Nova, I like Thor, I like Doctor Strange, I like Black Panther, I like all of these characters. That means that every single time I'm going to end up being in this draw to try to pull and get a set for these characters specifically, because now this set is no longer good, or they're just going to introduce an item to remove the exclusive stats so that way I can put it over here. So down the road, something like that's going to come. You already know it's going to come. So the comic cards are things that pisses me off the most, mostly because, hey, I can go inside here, and if I choose to, I can hit on this featured item and I can purchase this Marvel Avengers Endgame, depending on whether it's, and I can, you know, roll that $44.99, which just seems really freaking expensive to me. Especially if you're doing that for every character, you know, it seems pretty expensive, especially knowing how Marvel Future Fight, some of the other games where it's like, hey, you know what, we're gonna keep introducing costumes, and I'm paying $50 for a costume. That's a lot. That's a lot. You're paying almost 20 bucks, 25 bucks for a costume inside Marvel Future Fight right now. Do I really want to be paying double that price for a costume inside here? So far, I'm having fun with the game, but keep that in mind as you proceed through the game and you have store purchases that pop up. The Omega Future membership, the Alpha Squad membership, the Omega Squad Rank bundle, the Alpha Squad Rank bundle. To me, they were mindless purchases. It was pretty easy. I kind of, you know, I've been enjoying the game, having fun with it, and this was my way of saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to give back to the developers, and you know, they're making a good game in terms of, you know, keeping me entertained. So keep that in mind. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If there's any questions that you have about the content and stuff like that, leave it in the comment section. Until next time, peace.